everybody. Got No BS Podcast back today, bringing you another episode. This one will probably be heavy with mental health issues, among other things. It's your host, Todd.
Your boy, Nick.
What's up, everybody? It's Quest.
All right, so today we got a special guest. She's got quite the wrap of accomplishments and ideas that she wants to have. She's an advisor for the Black Student Alliance and Atlanta Schools. She's got her BA in psychology from Carson Newman, soon to be a BSN, trying to be a psychiatrist, big goals. Also a current resident director and coordinator of access and inclusion at Maryville College, and is a big representative for her platform in mental health and marginalized communities. It's a nonprofit. And to top it all that, Miss Black Tennessee USA 2023.
Yes, sir.
Will you want to introduce yourself?
Hi, thank you guys for having me. I'm super excited, but thank you you spiced that up a little bit. I like that.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. So we got, a slew of things that we want to talk to you about today. Pageantry is something that none of us are really too very knowledgeable about. So I guess in general, can you tell us a little bit about the beginning of the, Mississippi, Tennessee pageantry, how it started and where it is today?
Okay, so a lot of that, Miss Christie, we call her Mama K. She started the Miss Black USA organization because we kind of felt and she believed that there wasn't a lot of space for us in these places.
Mm-hmm.
So like Miss USA and in pageantry and Miss America, right? I think they've evolved and that's great, but we're having to always fight for room and fight for space. And so she kind of created this space for us to be able to wear our hair however we want, different shades, different sizes, different interests. And so she created that back in 1980, I believe. So,
Wow.
and it's flourished into what it is. And we have passionate directors who kind of take over those states where they're from or states of their sister queens and kind of rein it in and make it more than what it is. So,
yeah. Right on. What did you do to get into pageantry? Like, what was the reasoning? What was your process for that?
That's a good question. For me, I've always wanted to do pageantry since I was little, but my mom was like, "Girl, that's a lot of money," and so I really couldn't do it. Didn't do it. I did things like not pageants, but talent shows, things like that. And it wasn't until I've grown and had my own money to pay for things that I was like, I get to finally kind of do something that I've always wanted to do.
Right.
And I kind of fell into it and picked it up and I've loved it. So
Yeah. Do you do anything logistic wise, or are you just more of a participant?
I kind of logistics for myself, if I'm being honest, as far as preparation, but I've kind of gotten the opportunity now to kind of see the behind the scenes.
Yeah.
So kind of creating those places and spaces for us to go. So for example, the queens after me, kind of helping the director and partnering with her about, hey, let's go over here and let's make this connection over there to not only get more girls, but to have more events and kind of get them out into the community. So I've gotten to participate in the behind the scenes a little bit, which is great.
The networking.
Yeah.
I bet that's a pretty fun part of the job.
It is.
I say, at least for ours, that is just going around talking to people.
Exactly.
So I heard you say that, you got older and got your own money and you kind of fell into it. Tell us a little bit more about that journey. How do you enter into this world?
That's a good question. I think one, kind of having the passion for it. After kind of researching about pageantry, I think people think it is dresses and the makeup and the cat fights and all the things. But also it's that community service outreach aspect that I really love as well. And so to be able to, yes, be pretty and have sister queens and dress up and do all those things and kind of have those accolades, but also what are you doing with the title that you have? And so for me, I've always kind of felt like if I can merge the two worlds that I love of community service, that aspect that I've always had to do my entire life with something that I enjoy doing too, it's the better. So my first pageant was in 2022. So I'm a newbie.
Yeah.
So can you share some inspiring stories from past contestants that made contributions to their community or anything
Mhm.
like that?
I know one of my sister queens. She has definitely, her dad is the mayor for her city, but so kind of being able to go into those kind of inner city, especially as Miss Black,
Mm-hmm.
it's been really amazing to be able to see what she has with kind of that networking that her father has, but also her own personality and bringing that into the inner city for our Black and brown girls to see
So,
is really amazing.
Provides a good role model for him, I imagine,
Yeah.
something to look up to.
Mm-hmm.
hmm
So that's got to be pretty heartwarming for you, knowing that you are making that special thought for young women.
It does. I mean, I think being able to see it, and even like if I'm walking out and about and I see like a little girl, I'm like, "You want to wear my crown?" And we take
hmm
a picture because she's like, "Mom, look, the princess or the queen," and I'm like, you go back in the car and you cry.
Yeah.
But it that's the part that makes it a little bit more worth it. Of like, of course, I love the community service, but also kind of being the representation that you didn't get to necessarily see is
Mhm.
really.
Yeah, I love that. Just because I have a black daughter too, so it's
Mhm.
like I love that what you're doing, so she can look up to somebody that actually is making a difference in the community. Is great.
What has there been any problems that y'all have encountered, like bigger ones? Having started in you said the '80s,
Mhm.
right? I imagine the uh, community feedback on the nose might not have been the best back then. But has there been any, really rocking problems that made what was it, Miss K, Mama
Mama
K,
K.
Mama K really rethink if
Shout out.
that's the right thing to do?
um, I would say no. I think that what she, as far as like connections, is sometimes I think in the Black community, people have this narrative of Black women already, and then
hmm
kind of mixing pageantry into that. There are opportunities you could do and could have, but they're like they want to fit the narrative or the stereotype that sometimes the world sees and kind of assumes
Hmm.
Black women are. So that kind of like we want to do like a reality show kind of thing, but
Hmm.
are they gonna be nasty? Are they gonna be like in the
Yeah.
dressing room like cussing each other out in the back?
Right.
And I'm like, I think for her, she has a firm belief and a firm stance on that's not what Miss Black USA is. We don't do that. I would rather say no to the opportunity,
Yeah.
although it could be more exposure if it means subjecting them to something that
I
they're
feel that.
not.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. I
Uh,
mean, if you don't stand for something, then you stand on nothing. So I like it.
Now, let's talk about pageants themselves,
mhm.
like the actual process. What, whether the criteria for judgment or just the activities that you have to do. Can you
Mhm.
walk us through that process?
That's a long one. You ready?
Yeah, absolutely. Let's
Yeah.
hear it.
I'll go from my standpoint. I think the first thing that I do and that I tell people is find out your why. Why are you doing it? Like, is it, and kind of have substance about it. If you don't have any substance, I would say don't do it. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
So my first thing is the why. After that is kind of figuring out and researching what system you think is best for you, because there are some that focus and operate in this way, and others that focus and operate in another. And so after your research and you found the pageantry or the system that you want to kind of operate out of, you kind of go into, hey, what's their preliminary competition, right? Is that fitness? Is that swimsuit? Is that talent? On stage question? All these things, and kind of hone that in. But I think in order to be able to do that, you have to kind of look inward and find the answers instead of giving some superficial kind of
What you
cookie
think they
cutter.
want to hear.
Right.
Exactly.
Right.
Um, and your story, you have to definitely kind of put your story into why you do what you do. But I think that shapes your why, right?
Mhm.
After the preliminary, and you kind of figure that out. It's kind of honing and figuring out, and especially if you have a pageant coach, it's about kind of working with them to figure out, what do I do right? What do I do that could be better? How do I refine that? How do I stand out in a room full of people that look like me sometimes?
Mhm.
Um, and kind of honing in on that, but also kind of focusing on yourself. I think people assume that pageantry sometimes is like, you're going to look at her, you're going to kind of eye her up and
Mhm.
hmm
down and like,
Yeah,
what's the tea?
absolutely.
But it's really a kind of like focus on yourself to figure out and make sure you're good, and that will showcase itself on the stage. So
Mhm. Well, that's fair. Now, do you know what the competitions are before you go in? So you said in preliminaries, it could be fitness, swimsuit, this, that, the other, or is it like, all right, it's today, and now we're gonna tell you what it is?
You can definitely go on that website for that pageant and that system, and they'll kind of tell you the areas of competition and the eligibility and all the things that they require. But also, before you even hit the stage, before you have to do preliminaries, they have many meetings behind the scenes of like, hey, and kind of you get to meet the current queens, and you get to have kind of relationships and talk to them as well. So they'll kind of give you like the little secrets, you know.
Right.
But for the most part, beforehand. It's not like a gotcha.
The sight of that though.
What's is it just kind of everybody is together? Is there age groups? Are there, how do they split up the contestants?
It's definitely categories of like age.
Mhm.
So for Miss Black USA, we have teen, and so teen is 13 to 19 years old. We have MS, which is 28 to 45, and then Miss, which is 20 to 27.
Okay, so y'all got categories for everybody, whatever they might be doing. That's fair. The one question when I was trying to think about it, when I first heard that we had, a queen, beauty pageant queen coming on, until I, looked into you and figured out all the, what's the word? Importance. I can't remember that word. When I think about a pageant, I think about high pressure. You have to fit this mold. You got to look a certain way. You gotta lose weight. You gotta be fit. And mentally, especially on little girls growing up, when they're looking up, it's kind of similar to Barbie, where if I'm not that, then I'm not attractive or I'm not pretty or whatever. And I that was my question. How does the current pageantry system work with that? I know you put in effort to have mentally healthy people, but that's definitely the first thought that I had. I was like, man, this is a big mental health issue.
Yeah.
Body image.
Yeah.
How does the pageant, if anything, do to cater to making sure people aren't so critical of themselves?
Right. I think Miss Black USA, that system specifically, their big motto that you can even see on their website is all different shapes and sizes. I think all of my sister queens range in size from like super tiny, but that's because like they're just super tiny people, to our plus size and our thick girls and our thick queens. And there is no, they don't even score in that category. Like that's not you get to kind of see your scorecard after the pageant is completed. That is not something that is, we do fitness, right? But fitness is about how does that fitness play into your mental and overall health. And so I think that's really important. And you get to kind of answer those questions, but also that's not something that they look for to be like, is she small?
Is she skinny? Is she under a certain weight limit?
They
Well, that's
don't,
awesome.
yeah.
That's
Yeah.
awesome. Because, I know, especially with the Barbie movie that came out, that whole topic came back up, body image and the importance of both little boys and girls, that it's okay to be you, whatever you look
Absolutely,
like.
yeah.
So that is nice to see that they have definitely almost put that to the side and say, that doesn't matter. We're not here for that.
Yeah.
So
Do
that's
you feel
definitely
like
nice to
that's
hear.
still kind of a big issue? I know the Miss Black Tennessee pageant has kind of tried to move away from that. Do you feel like that's still a big issue within the pageantry world, though? Is body image? Because I feel like for us on the outside, we just assume that that's a big part of the world that is pageantry.
I think that's a big topic that they discuss, and I think there is a responsibility on the board of directors for that system to like have those conversations, but also talk about that with the reigning queens and the past queens and the sisterhood and the contestants in general. I think that it's prevalent. It's a discussion that needs to be had, but I think it's happening, and I think that that's really important because I think for a long time people could sometimes sweep things under the rug of like, we know that she feels this way, or we know that women believe this thing, but we're not going to necessarily talk about it because she looks pretty in a dress, right?
Yeah.
And so to know that those conversations are happening, and there's documentaries out there that are talking about these things finally, and in a multitude of areas, I think is really important. And so that gives you a sense of comfort to be like, okay, systems are changing, kind of fitting the times that we're in.
Yeah.
Okay. So does the pageant put somebody in charge of, like, if a contestant have like mental health issues or going through things like that? Can you go to somebody that's appointed to talk to them about it, or is it more like you're on your own? Or
I think that's a good question. I mean, we have those people that we know we can run to.
Mhm.
There isn't necessarily a specific kind of like psychiatrist on hand or like therapist, but also knowing that there's so many women that do so many different things, that it's a network within itself of like, hey, sis, you have somebody, somebody that I could kind of, reach out to. Even me, I'm not the only one. My sister Queen's now, she's getting her master's to be a counselor. So kind of knowing and having that relationship as well. But even kind of competition week, we have our kind of our production or the team behind the scenes that are like, hey, I need to shoulder tap you so I can kind of talk to you because I'm feeling this way, I'm feeling that way. So they're there, but it isn't necessarily a mental health professional on scene per se.
We'll say once you get to your degree, you could probably talk to them about making that something happen.
Probably.
You know?
Look,
There it
Miss Black
is.
Mama K.
Yeah. Yeah. You put director in front of your
There
name
you go.
again.
yes.
Oh, that's fair. What, and this is going to sound like a rude question, but like, what's the point of pageantry? How does that help if someone doesn't want to do that as their career? What do they gain from doing that?
First and foremost, it's a family. One, I think that's the biggest thing that I can say.
Mhm.
Is one family, but also it feels like a mini conference, like a mini business conference. I think because you have so many. When you think about it, you have so many women in one space that do so many incredible things, and it's like there are relationships and even kind of business opportunities that I've been able to have from both pageants that I've been in thus far, to kind of propel myself and to do other things and kind of build those relationships. And I think it isn't always just, oh, we went and got pretty and we
Right.
did these fun things and that was cool, but also after this is over, after I pass my title, I have relationships with people that can put me in different places and vice versa.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Oh, that makes sense.
So outside of kind of your own personal growth from doing the pageantry, what kind of things does the pageantry like as a whole do for the community to get out? Because I know like you watch it on movies and they talk about community involvement and stuff. So what does the pageantry actually go out and do to support the community, support diversity and equity and stuff like that?
One big thing that they do is that's a requirement for a lot of systems, or at least the systems that I've been is that community service aspect. So you have, I mean, depending on how many contestants you have in each category, you could have up to, I think for us, I mean, if you do the states, you have at least like 50 individuals there who have to do some type of like, what community service are you doing? What's your platform? How are you going out into your community, your specific community, and doing that? So having it be a requirement, but doesn't feel like a requirement because that's your passion and that's what you kind of do every day anyway. So I think that's one thing, but the system will go, especially during the week of competition, we'll kind of go out within the community, and that could be, I know one thing that us girls were talking about doing next year, of course, with the current state holders at that point is like, if we go out and take pictures with the little girls in the community, right? So they can see, again, like 50 plus girls all in crowns and sashes and looking like little princesses, right? And then kind of having those conversations with them about beauty isn't just outward, right? And then, of course, us having the system attached to us and going out in the community kind of also brings that back to the community with like, hey, we can kind of keep this going. And I know for me, even the national queen, my sister Queen Ariel, she gets to actually use and do her platform during her reign. That's the biggest thing. Like once you win, you're continuing that platform. So, for example, I definitely wanted to kind of build that relationship with Miss USA,
Mhm.
that system, to talk about mental health. Because, we have, sadly, queens who have committed suicide and things like that, and kind of talking about what that looks like, and bringing the love that I have for mental health, but also pageantry into one space, and like, what are we doing? How are we changing this? How are we talking about these societal pressures that we have, and even individual pressures that we have to change this for whoever steps into this role later on? So,
Speaking of mental health, you have a nonprofit that you do for mental health in marginalized communities.
Mhm.
Kind of go in a little bit more detail about that and what exactly is it that you do, um, and what are you doing to impact the mental health community?
So my platform was basically creating a nonprofit, for free or reduced mental health care for marginalized communities. So the idea of that was going into, low socioeconomic households, and communities, and rec centers and all these things, and kind of teaching them a curriculum of how to navigate the societal things that are going on around them. And that's like microaggressions and macroaggressions. But also, they see and witness things that sometimes other BIPOC communities may not. Like, so for example, our undocumented citizens.
Mhm.
I have been able to hear stories from my classmates about, my parents can't call emergency services because I might not see them,
Right.
right? And that's something that sometimes us as African Americans may not experience, right?
Mhm.
And so with that, I'm like, there are things that you see, especially like our even in the African American community, of they can walk outside their door and see somebody get shot, and then you're supposed to
Be
think
okay
about
with it.
school
Yeah.
tomorrow, right? And so kind of knowing that, and realizing that, and being like, how can we, for people that may not qualify for health care and can pay for insurance, how do we get that to them? So I work very closely with, in my own community, with people who are already doing that and already have those nonprofits. And I may help with like grant writing to get more money and to get them funded, kind of doing a lot of the behind the scenes things, so that we can kind of push this out and have more communities know about it, so they can take the number, and kind of use the services.
How do you get in touch with your nonprofit?
So if you really want to email me, I can definitely talk to the director about, help, and what you want to do, whether that's volunteering. Because a lot of it, because it's so like, HIPAA and those things, it's very select things of what you can do. But also, I know that volunteering is really important. But because I kind of, have that passion, I'm like, can I go under your wing and like learn from you? So then that way I can kind of branch out and create my own at some point. So, definitely my Instagram page, Miss Black Tennessee _. If you want to like DM me, or Facebook, same name, I can definitely get in touch with my director or the director of that nonprofit to kind of get you in touch.
What's the name of it?
Women's Intercultural Center.
Women's Intercultural Center. So I guess that being said, y'all mostly deal with young women and girls, or do y'all have a program for young boys?
We're trying to like branch out to do that, because I know for me, I think my first kind of experience with that was women, because as kind of in my previous work of like case management, I'm like, hey, I had a lot of female to kind of work with, and so that's kind of where I gravitated to. But I know that she has more connections to the other nonprofits that kind of do the same thing, that could kind of utilize those services for men. And
Oh, that's
Good.
fair.
I got a question though. Do they have pageants for men?
this is so off topic. I think they have one for like the LGBTQ. Those are real,
Okay.
yeah. It's like,
aren't those drag shows?
no,
Well,
they're
no,
not
no,
drag
no,
shows.
no,
They're
no,
actually
no.
like drag pageants.
Drag pageants?
I've watched them because I'm like, it's something about, that's a different flair sometimes,
Yeah.
where it's like, I need the tea.
Yeah.
But also, I think they do have a men's pageant. They just don't call it they don't call it a pageant though, I don't think.
No.
Yeah.
No.
I
It's
mean,
like
bodybuilding
there's
is
the
real,
pageant.
but
Well, maybe that's your $1 million idea then.
Yeah,
Start a
we gonna-
pageant for men.
yeah, might as well.
there's
Let's
not
do it.
many, so that's a good buck to run up,
I'm not gonna
all
part-
about a
I was saying, I'm
dollar.
not going to participate.
You
but
should.
Why not?
I tell you, I ain't got no talents.
Bro, you already look like Thor, bro. You okay? Like, yeah. Come on, let your hair down.
Yeah, it's Washington Day today, so I ain't doing that.
Man of the world.
Male
pageant.
beauty pageants. I do man of the world. I'll be a world man.
Manhunt International, Mr. Global. Ooh.
Mr. Worldwide. I'd be in that one. I would be in that one.
All right.
But speaking of talents, what did you have to do a talent portion of your pageant?
I did.
What was your talent?
Singing.
Singing.
Vocal.
Oh, what's your choice of music?
Well, that's a good question. I wanted my song, if anything, to line up with my message
Mm.
to as much as possible. And so, my first thought was kind of like those kind of neo soul, because I think those are the ones that kind of get a little deep.
Mhm.
But also something that they would know that would also be like, oh, she can sing. Okay, I'm about to write a, you know, 35 out of 35 on the
Yeah.
scorecard.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I did Whitney Houston, Greatest Love of All. I did. Don't
Bet
go-
that carried some good weight when you were singing
Yes,
it.
sir.
something I couldn't hear myself, y'all. So I'm like, I just was like, hey, sing it so you don't crack and you can get off the stage and literally do your on stage question.
Yeah,
That
right.
was the thought
So-
process.
Vocal, huh? So, who's your top 5 artists, any genre?
That is so hard to. Okay. 5? Okay.
Top 5.
Michael Jackson for sure.
Mm.
Jasmine Sullivan. I love Jessie J. She has amazing vocal ability. Aretha Franklin.
Oh, I love Aretha.
Oh, that's hard. That's 4. Is that 4?
We'll call that 4.
Okay.
So, that was just naming no order, right?
No order. You can't. No, we gonna have to go to blows if you tell me to put it in order. 'Cause that's a lot.
That's a solid list, though.
I get that.
Yeah.
What would y'all's talent be?
Oh.
I tell you, I got it. I wouldn't know.
Bro, I can sing, bro.
Like
No, I'm lying.
baritone.
No, I'm just playing. Honestly,
You got 2 minutes too. Usually,
2 minutes.
2 minutes.
if it's rolling, they're taping. 2 minutes.
I have no idea. Maybe I don't know if it's a talent I can juggle, but
That's a
like
talent.
There you go.
juggle.
Like with swords or bowling pins.
Well,
and,
do it look like I be juggling with swords?
I'm
bro?
just saying, it
Yeah, I
could
ain't that
happen.
bold,
It
but-
could happen.
But like 10 objects, I can get
Damn.
up to 10, bro.
Damn, that ain't bad.
That would
Solid.
because you want to do something that not everybody is doing. So
Mhm.
if you would have came out on stage juggling in a dress too, yeah, you would've got-
Hey, with the lemon pepper steppers on my feet. But I had to practice. I ain't juggled in so long. But
That's fine. Quez, what about you?
That's hard. I grew up singing, but
let's hear it.
I haven't been. I haven't been on.
He ain't growing up anymore. He's not doing that.
I haven't been on stage in a long time. I think I'd probably get up there and just freeze.
Man,
If just staring off into the sunset was a talent, that's
I
probably what I'd
know,
end
right?
up doing.
Start getting.
I wonder
What's
if
up, Ty? What you got?
Well, as we were saying in this podcast here, I don't know. Talent wise, I would want to cook something.
Okay, I can see that.
Cook 2-minute rice in 30 seconds.
Yeah, I mean that's good. Don't get me wrong.
No,
but,
that ain't good. I wouldn't know what to
okay,
do.
I'm like,
but
I don't
what
think
you
he would
cook-
have made
what
it
you gonna
past
cook?
preliminary.
I could juggle knives. I did. So I was a sushi chef for a little bit, and our hibachi chef got fired. So I was like, yeah, I can do this.
Mhm.
Turns out I couldn't do that.
Okay.
I made it 2 days before they were like, yeah, no.
Mhm.
They said I made the customers uncomfortable because I would make the fires too big, and when I would juggle the knives, they got nervous with it. Now, mind you, I never like dropped a knife
Right,
towards them or
right.
anything. Never caught anybody on fire. But then they did point out that their light shades were styrofoam to-go boxes.
Okay, so a little
they said-
arson and a little, yeah,
exactly.
okay.
So they say they're like, nah, you can't do that. But that being said, I could juggle knives.
How many times you cut yourself?
Like a lot. like to learn how to do it, a lot.
So you just suffering through pain to try to learn now.
Yeah. Beauty's pain. So I guess talent's pain too. You got to risk it, you know?
Risk it for the biscuit.
For a second, man. Let's
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
ready. I'm ready.
Oh no.
I'll do the background.
Yeah.
Yeah, no. No,
Oh, dude,
not even.
belt
gonna
it. I say, now that's what you should have done. Little
yeah.
Marvin Gaye. That's so great.
Yeah, keep all that.
Oh, yeah.
Look, man.
No,
I grew up. I started smoking and stuff. I'm messed my lungs up.
bro, you'll
Trying to
hit
get
that.
back right, but it's not there
You'll hit
yet.
that Armstrong swag, then. Get that smoker voice, deep, raspy. Yeah,
Your
yeah.
boy from 5 Part
James Brown
Beats.
sounded good. He was
Hey.
a smoker.
That he
So there you
did.
go.
So we just putting you on the spot. That's just all this is, bro. I'm
All right,
sorry. Okay, we'll leave it.
let me practice, man. Let me
Hey, because at the end of the day, support your friends, support your people.
Hey, that's true. That's true.
But I mean, look, yes, support them, and I get all of that. But also
Tough
support them
love.
by telling them like they suck and they should get better.
Right, and I think that practice. You know what I'm saying? So you got to do something so many times to.
But what about the rappers that's been rapping for like 12 years?
She'll make it. She'll be a famous rapper.
No, not her, not the lady per se. I'm just talking about people in general.
Oh, well, they sucked at one point.
Yeah, I guess so.
Just say that's why I cut my fingers so many times tossing knives. It sucked at one point.
I mean, I didn't always sound like Whitney Houston ready, but I
you
think I've
got
been
that.
singing for since I was 2. I was in a play. My mom was like, "That's when I realized you could sing."
Oh,
Because
wow.
I was like a barn house or something.
Right.
And I had my little moment on stage, and she was like, "That actually didn't suck." Okay.
Well,
So-
Didn't suck.
You definitely upgraded from a barn house to a beauty pageant queen.
Thank you.
Not bad. What other competitions do they have in their preliminaries? You said talents. What else? Fitness.
And then evening gown.
Evening gown.
Mhm.
With,
What is fitness? What would you do in fitness? Like,
Um,
do you
so
go on
it's-
stage and lift weights?
Kind of in a way, because I mean, a little bit of like it's a walk, but also to kind of show it's that your moment to kind of show how fit you are or what you tend to do
Mm.
for your fitness. So like me, I do Pilates. I can pop up to my Pilates class and be like, this is what I do, but also it's really like a video to be able to kind of show your fitness and kind of model that,
Mm.
so to speak. And so kind of same thing with evening gown as well. It's like about poise and beauty and but also kind of showcasing yourself through the dress that you choose as well. Like how does that dress kind of represent you? And so they kind of look at all of those things in the confidence, because I think there has to be inner confidence, because I could be all dressed up and things, but if I'm like inwardly like, telling myself every day that I am worth nothing, then it's like it defeats the purpose. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
No, that makes sense. There's a lot of even mental health things. It's just it is what you say it is.
Mhm.
You speak it into being, and the more times you tell yourself you ain't shit, you're not worth a damn, and that's truly what you
That's
will
how you
start
gonna
to
feel.
become.
Exactly.
Which is, I think, is a big thing. Let's look to the future.
Mhm.
How's the future of the pageant industry down here in the South, at least, the Mississippi, Tennessee one? What is that looking like? Are y'all trying to expand? Is it, are y'all happy and content with where it is? What are you thinking?
No, I think so Mississippi and Tennessee, we both have not had a director for a very long time within the Miss Black USA system.
Mhm.
And so Miss Christie, which Mama K and
Mama K.
and Director Christie have
Yeah.
the same name, so it's just ironic. But they both are getting directors for every state. So then that way there is a specific person kind of helping make it more than what it is. So this actually is the first year that we've had a director for the state of Tennessee. So she has literally came and like flipped it upside down, because a lot of the things that I'm doing, like the podcast and like the outreach things, haven't always happened because,
Mhm.
it wasn't someone necessarily focusing in on it,
Mm.
or it was the it was the current queen or the reigning queen at that time kind of making those moves. So to know that there's somebody behind the scenes doing it all the time,
Yeah.
kind of naturally, it's changing, but
So
it's
it's gonna
good.
be big changes coming.
Yeah, this is the first state pageant.
Oh, fair
Mhm.
enough.
You okay?
Spazzing out over here. What for our listeners, how will they be able to follow this aside from your Instagram? I know you had shout out to that.
Mhm.
Does the pageant itself
Mhm.
have a page that they can
Yes.
look into?
Right. So to see basically everything that's going on within Miss Black USA, go follow the Miss Black USA. It's literally Miss Black, our official Miss Black USA Instagram page. But if you want to see things for specifically Mississippi and Tennessee, it is Miss Black Tennessee USA pageant on Instagram and on Facebook.
Okay. Okay. Do
What if we
y'all
wanted to see the pageant in itself? Like those of us with little girls or whatever, we want to take them to the show.
Take
Like,
them to.
yeah.
And so
is there
the
a show
state
coming up?
pageant will be in December 16th and 17th in Nashville.
is that the finals or is
That would be pretty much the final for the state. I'll be passing on my title. And so, what was the question?
How can we come see
watch
Oh,
it?
so-
Come watch it.
Yes.
It will be streamed live, broadcasted live. So, and then you can get all of that information from the Miss Black Tennessee USA pageant page.
I got one last one.
Okay.
Your favorite quote. There's no greater agony than carrying an untold story inside of you. I hope this process has helped you get some of that story out.
It has.
Good.
Has.
Is there anything else that you really have a burning, I really want to mention this, whether it's your nonprofit, this, that, or just a general message to the listeners, those who might be struggling in their own mental areas?
That's so good. Definitely, don't be afraid to kind of like dig deep inside yourself to kind of figure out, what's going on with you. I think it's important to obviously go and kind of seek that mental health care, but also doing the inner work to be able to, once you get to that professional, like, hey, this is what I feel like I'm struggling with, kind of find those things. But also, I think people think that therapy is a fix-it ticket, and I think that it's a aid, because one thing that I've always learned with therapy is it's not supposed to be a lifelong process. They're teaching you skills so that way when you're finished and you're out of counseling, you can carry those things with you and be the author of your own story. So
I think that's a great thing to say because, I mean, even now I still think of therapy as like, that's what I do to fix myself rather than that's what I do to change myself so that I can fix the things that I need to fix.
Quez asked me earlier, would you let him wear your crown?
absolutely, I would.
He was like, you think she'll
If
let
I
me
brought
wear
my
that, bro?
sash, I would have let you wear my sash.
Oh, man, that would have been a great picture.
I'm trying to walk down the street and be an inspiration.
Hey, we'll get there one day. We're talking it right now. All right, so that's all for us today. Everybody, don't forget to like, subscribe, comment on Facebook, YouTube, whatever platform that you're watching. Also, don't forget to hit up the Miss Black Tennessee USA page. Give her a follow. Don't forget, stay hustling, stay grinding, no nonsense, no BS, and let's go!